follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. The Final Four is set. I'm excited. Look, I know that we have, when you combine the two games and their point spreads, it's the biggest number since the early 70s. But I think the matchups can play out like in an exciting fashion, right? Like NC State, the way that they're humming right now and the way Burns is operating down in the Ian Eagle was so good on the broadcast yesterday. Like, I get it. He goes the pun route once in a while. But, DJ, that song's on the playlist. All this kind of stuff. Very, very good. But the way that he's operating down low on the low block, it comes down to how this game is going to be officiated, right? And the kind of calls that will go and produce favor. If you go back and look, last 3 NCAA tournaments, we've had 3 games so far this year where one team was called for 10-plus fouls compared to the other team. All 3 of those games this year, Purdue games. And they're not the one getting called fouls on. So even though Edey's throwing around the arms and the big body once in a while and bodies are flying, they don't call that. They're calling a lot of other stuff. Kudos to the kid. He had 40 and 16 yesterday. Free throw line, he went to 22 times. And I would think, though, that if anybody else showed up for Tennessee, they're not losing that game yesterday.
I know.
Connect had 37, and he was brilliant.
It was awesome. I know. No help, and they took that big – they hit them with the big run, and after the timeout, it was all Purdue there, and next thing you know, it's a 1-point game. So I thought that was enormous, where it's almost halftime. You got that double-digit lead, and you don't even go into the locker room with the lead. The Evan Abrams tweet with this incredible run by NC State. Highest pre-tournament title odds to make the Final Four. 2018, Loyola Chicago, 380-1. VCU, 2011, 300-1. 2017, South Carolina, 280-1. 2016, Syracuse, 275-1. And then NC State, 200-1. The 500-1s are out there. The 1,000-1s, they were 4-10 their last 14 games entering the ACC tournament. As you pointed out, they're in a close game against Louisville. It's an atrocious team this year. And then the Virginia game. I mean, I keep going back to the Virginia game, that this screenshot, this is in the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament. They are down 6 with 50 seconds. Virginia misses 4 of 5 free throws, including the guy at the line up 3 with 5 seconds. He's 86%. He misses the front end. Bennett chooses not to foul. NC State banks in at the buzzer. They win in overtime. They beat Duke. They beat Carolina. And now they keep going, and they're in the Final Four.
So do you realize that if Tony Bennett in that spot elected to actually foul, there's like a 99% chance that NC State's not in the tournament and nobody knows about this team, and we don't get the story.
Or if Virginia makes one of those free throws.
Yeah, either one.
Absolutely. And this crazy run that the coach was going to be fired. They were going out. No big deal. No story here. Big changes coming for the program. And now they make it all the way to the Final Four. And just the prices, too. I mean, 5-1 on the money line against Duke in the ACC tournament. Plus 260 yesterday. Plus 260 on Friday. Opened the tournament plus 165 against Texas Tech. Plus 390 against North Carolina in the ACC tournament. Well, the only game they were favored was Oakland, which Oakland had them. And they had to survive in overtime to beat a good Oakland team that certainly wasn't a 14 seed.
That's right. Imagine if Oakland gets the proper call at the end of that game. It was off North Carolina State. After a 27-minute review, they said off Oakland. They got it wrong, but there's 2.3 seconds left there. Who knows what happens? Maybe they hit a shot. Maybe they get fouled, go to the free throw line, and they're dead at that point. But not the case, still alive. And this will give you, like, numbers-wise, where they're at in the country. Ken Palm has them ranked this is today. This is after all of these wins, this current run. Ken Palm has NC State ranked 43rd, just via numbers. That's it. Bart Torvik has them 47th in the country. But that's the beauty of the madness. And you don't know what's going to happen, where these teams are going to come from, who's going to get hot. So you have a little bit of everything, right? You have the 2-1 seeds, and you have an 11, and then Alabama, when they show up, I mean, and play their A game like they have been, they're better than a 4 seed. By the way, that prop then flew over thanks to NC State being 11 and getting there. Mm-hmm. I did see this today. It's the most losses by any team. I think they went back to 2000. They have 14 losses this year. It's the single most losses by any team to make the Final Four in that time. Other teams have had 13. NC State. We had 1 year. It was 2000. Wisconsin and North Carolina each had 13 losses, and they made the Final Four.
Yeah.
That was a wonky one.
Yeah. Well, there's two things here. Number one, what happened for much of the year? Why couldn't they figure it out? Why were they just an average team?
Sure.
But it's the Deion Sanders thing, too. Do you believe? Once you beat a Duke in the ACC tournament, and after how you survived the Virginia game, then it's like, well, we can do anything now. There's no difference between these teams, and we can play with the big boys. And then to shock North Carolina and become a bid thief, I love Texas Tech in the first-round game. I mean, Texas Tech had a good year and a great league, probably the best league in college basketball, and they're only laying 4.5 in that game. Ran them out, blew them out. And then they keep doing it. Now, a lot of this has come down to luck, too, like the Virginia game, but also the Marquette game. And do not tell me for 1 second that's good defense. Marquette's 4 of 31 from 3. Most of them are wide open.
Yeah.
They just couldn't make a damn thing.
That's right.
But that's how the ball bounces and how it goes. And that's the same thing with Alabama. You can get blown out and look below average at Kentucky. You can get spanked twice by Florida down the stretch. You can be down to Grand Canyon with 5 minutes left and you can't make a basket other than Sears. Well, Final Four. You're down 10 to North Carolina. So
I had Clemson plus 3.5 in that game. I watched that pretty much every second of the second half, as close as I possibly could.
Right.
And I thought Clemson was fantastic. I thought they played almost as well as any team could offensively. And like every time they cut it back down to 3, it took 5 seconds and the lead was back to 6 or it was back to 8 or 9. And they'd have to claw away and chip to get it back down to like 4 or 5. And then before you'd blink again, boom, they hit them with another. They had 16 threes in that game. Like offensively, like they can be a really crazy team to play against. And it can get out of control for a lot of teams. Now, nobody else is UConn at this point with what they're doing. And I saw a good tweet from Jack McGuire this morning. When you go to Ken Palm again, his adjusted efficiency margin, UConn is plus 35.11 per his numbers. Only 3 teams going back to 2002 are ahead of this team. 2015 Kentucky, 2021 Gonzaga, 2008 Kansas. And as Jack tweeted out, in layman's terms, UConn would be favored over every team going back to 2002 then with Ken Palm's numbers outside of those 3 teams. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That would happen. Now, if you want to go back a little bit further, the 99 Duke team, they didn't win it all, but their power rating would be higher. 96 Kentucky would be higher, but then the early 90s with UNLV, but that's pretty much it.
Well, a lot of people are upset because of how they played in the semis of the Big East tournament and how good St. John's gave them a game. That was a hell of a game.
St. John's gave them a game all 3 times they played.
Did. Yeah, and St. John's didn't get in, but we did have 5 bid thieves, which that's just how it goes. But the role that the officials play, and who knows? I mean, it was an in-play dream when Shed got hurt. I mean, once you saw that, you had to pounce on Duke in play. I can't believe Tracy Wolfson said they're telling me there's a chance he could come back. He's in street clothes and he's on a scooter. He can't move. But that was unfortunate. But an injury here, guy in foul trouble there, you never know. The role that the officials play, and moving forward, especially with Purdue games, it's one thing if they're going to call everything against Edey. It's another thing if they're going to allow him to blatantly push off and not call it, because then he's unstoppable. Then he's going to put up 40 and 20, and there's nothing you can do. Number one, it's going to be the parade to the free throw line, like we saw yesterday, but the egregious stuff down low, swinging the elbows, and number 2 is he's blatantly pushing off and they're not calling it.
Oh, yeah.
To secure rebounds.
Yeah. And
if that's how it's going to go, well, then maybe Purdue can give UConn a game if they're in foul trouble and Edey's allowed to have his way. And it goes the same thing against Burns. I mean, I thought Will Hill had a terrific breakdown. He's just saying, well, Burns will be in foul trouble early, or NC State will be in foul trouble. I think Purdue blows them out. Would you be surprised if the guy has 2 quick ones? The way it's gone this tournament for guys trying to defend Edey and how its opponents have fared? with the foul situations
Well,
and foul issues going against Purdue?
Yeah, if we get UConn-Purdue in the national title game, that's going to be the biggest factor of the game, I think, is how are they going to call Klingon defensively against Edey? Because Klingon completely dominated the Illinois game. That was like a one-man band.
Yeah.
And offensively and defensively, and Illinois has like the number one, whatever. It's top 2, top 3 offense in the entire country. And I think the number was they scored like 12 or 14 points when Klingon was on the court the entire game. So he totally destroyed that team, and he's that good. But if it's physical, and I'm guessing why would it not be against Edey and Purdue, and he gets 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes, what's Hurley going to do?
Mm-hmm. The other thing is the three-pointers, which you can't handicap. How bad was Marquette? They couldn't make a damn thing. But look at Alabama.
Yep.
Like, if they're going in for Alabama, then they're dangerous.
Well,
but if the shots aren't, because Bama takes so many threes.
Yep.
And I love the shot chart. But if those aren't going in, forget it.
That's what it comes down to, right? If Alabama hits 15 threes in this game, they're going to cover. Hell, they might have a chance to win. However, we've seen their like C- game a bunch this year, and if that's the team we get, then they lose by 25.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with Purdue. I have to collapse on him, and it opens everything up. Those guys are going to get wide open looks because of the respect you have to pay Edey.
Paul's going to recap a very busy weekend with sports betting coming up next and Win Some, Lose Some here on VSiN.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
It's all NC State. NC State men plus 260 on the money line yesterday, and also against Marquette. 200-1 to make the Final Four. 15-1 to make the Elite Eight. Higher than that in some spots. NC State women plus 170 on Friday night. Plus 220 yesterday, and it was easy. A rocking chair winner. UConn, first team since seeding began in 1979 to cover 10 in a row. Favorites of 8 points or more are now 18-5 ATS.
Wow.
How about that? The UConn ATM. Tennessee Creighton over 142.5 up to 147.5. Plenty of soccer. It was a busy weekend. Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest draw plus 230 in the Premier League. Fulham, Sheffield United draw 3-1. League One on Friday. Another Peterborough over. But it was because of Carlisle United. The worst team in the league buried them, and they were plus 750. It took out Peterborough. Cheltenham Town plus 270. Cambridge United 5-1. English Championship League. Bristol City plus 440. Surprise Leicester City. Watford Leeds draw plus 345. Southampton draw plus 350. Stoke City plus 295. Bundesliga. Dortmund plus 580. Beat Bayern Munich, and it is now over, as they will not win the league. Mainz, Leipzig draw, plus 460. UFC card. Malkoon, round 2, 8-1. Osland, round 3, 18-1. Bazookia, round 3, 11-1. Buckley to win in round 2, 8-1. Nelson by knockout, 8-1. To win in round 1, 14-1. And Jokawani by decision, 8-1. And Landwehr by knockout, 5-1. And to win in round 1, he was 8-1. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. The great videos go up at Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. This is called When the Coffee Kicks In. And they're looking at, the dogs are looking at the picture on the TV where they're looking at the water come up and their friend, and they're jumping up and trying to get the water as well. Where they're going the hole in the hose, and it's like it's Old Faithful. And you see the dogs jumping up trying to get it.
Now,
what they're doing, mimicking what's on the TV.
That's got to be a video of those two dogs,
Those two
right?
dogs, yeah.
Right, they made the video, now they're going to play it back for them, and they're going to go nuts over themselves. Okay.
And well,
I dig it. I get it.
Yeah, I think they're also trying to catch the water.
Oh, they are, for sure, yeah.
Looking themselves as well. That is great. Love greatness, respect greatness, and being stars, and what's something that'll never happen again. Friday, 51 years ago, Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon hit number 1 in the Billboard album charts for exactly 1 week. It has now spent 988 weeks on the chart. I think it's like 1-2 all time, biggest selling albums. What is it? Michael Jackson, Thriller? I think Physical Graffiti's up there too. Greatest Hits, Eagles. Think about that. To be on the charts for that long. What they've done. And Led Zeppelin. This was another good tweet about Led Zeppelin. On this day in 1975, they became the first band in history to have 6 entries on the Billboard album charts at once. Physical Graffiti was number 1. Led Zeppelin 4 was 83. House of the Holy was 92. Led Zeppelin 2 was 104. Led Zeppelin was 116. Led Zeppelin 3, probably the worst of the bunch, 124. But other than Led Zeppelin 3, you got to love them all. But that is, every album we have is on the charts.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, right. And a Jackpot Downtown, the Wheel of Fortune progressive hit at the California Club. Now, I think you got to bet at least $7 a push. But if you do that, you get the gold spin. And to the right, you see you get to spin if you get that. And it hit jackpot on there. So that's $1.1 million. It hit once when I was over at the Golden Gate and the guy hit it. They say, you want the penthouse? I think the guy won 1.5 at the time. No, I don't want the penthouse. The guy was from the Midwest. No, I'm good. He was just waiting to verify it, and they offered him a drink. He said no. They offered him the penthouse. He said no, I'm good. So congrats to that lucky person that hit that. Couple bad beats. How about what happened to start the day Saturday in the Premier League? West Ham plus 290. They led 3-1 in the 76th minute. A bogus penalty was called, resulted in a PK. Newcastle converts. They add 2 more and win 4-3. 3-1 in the 76th minute and you lose. Second half under, Man U and Brentford. Goals in the 96th and 99th minute. 1-1 final. UCLA women plus 3. They led LSU by 3 with 2:30 left. I think they scored 1 point the rest of the way. LSU wins and covers. And first half, Tennessee. What were they up? They were up 11?
Up 32-21 with a little bit more than 5 minutes to play, catching a point and a half yesterday. Couldn't cover.
Horrible. Horrible beats. Never been a better time to have skin in the game with DraftKings Sportsbook, a VSiN exclusive offer for new DraftKings customers. Earn a $500 bonus bet for every $1,000 you wager. Earn up to $2,500 worth of bonus bets in your first 3 days on DraftKings. Download the app now. Use code FTM when you sign up. $500 bonus bet for every $1,000 you wager now. Great offer. Dynasty rewards. Go get them at DraftKings. Since seeding began in 1979, every champ has made it to their conference tourney semis, and no champ lost the first game of their conference tournament. 3 of them fit. The one that doesn't, that would still alive, would be Alabama. Alabama went out right away of the SEC tournament. So with Duke going down and Tennessee going down, it still looks like this is going to cash, and it's been every year since seeding began. The other thing, one of the a bad beat and a lose some, on this day in 2011, we were live on the air, and UNLV was just one of the top programs in college basketball for a long, long time. And then they got rid of Tark, and it was bad and a lot of dark days. But they hired Lon Kruger, and he came in, he took them to the Sweet 16, and they would make the tournament every year. We were on air, and we got the news that Lon Kruger was leaving UNLV to take the Oklahoma job. Folks, it must have took 45 minutes of people. It took like half an hour of trying to tell people, no, this is not an April Fool's joke.
I didn't buy it at first.
People wouldn't stop. They were calling in. They were yelling at the receptionist. We couldn't get a legitimate phone call in reaction to the news for like an hour before people realized, okay, this really happened.
Oh, they were devastated.
They thought we were making it up because it was an April Fool's Day prank. Because it happened in 2011 on this day. Yeah. He left and took the Oklahoma job. It's just bizarre.
Because people in this city, they had that taste with Tark. And then once the NCAA did what they did to him, and then basically they were given the death penalty without saying it, right? They were so bad for so long. They tried everything. It never worked. And to kind of get that feeling back again with Lon Kruger taking them to the tournament every single year and then actually doing some damage and going on runs, they just thought that he was going to retire here. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be the guy who was going to be tournament team every single year. Yeah.
I think 3 different times. I think he told Oklahoma 3 times, and every time they came back and offered him more money.
Yeah.
So eventually, then he took him to the Final Four, too, with Buddy Hield.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. How about some other player props for tonight with Caitlin Clark? This is at DraftKings. So she currently has 531 career threes. There's a prop up called the 3-point record breaker. Which games are going to come in? So when will she make 3-pointer number 538? The Final Four game, which is 2-1. She will not hit that
Won't
mark.
do it, right? They lose tonight.
Yeah, plus 225.
Okay.
The title game is plus 250, and to do it tonight is 4-1.
She's 8 away?
She is 7 away, right, Luke?
7 away.
She has 531. She needs to get to 538 to break it tonight and cash 4-1. That's the thing. I mean,
she's going to hit at least 3 or 4 tonight, right?
Oh, thank.
So then, okay, they win, and then she'll do it. Boy, that's to think that she's going to do it in the championship game.
I have
they're going to win games, and she's only going to hit a couple threes. No.
But I do have a tough time getting there with again all of her overs. So if all of her overs cash tonight, that means we're talking about a minimum 33 points, 10 assists, and 6 threes.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, what?
Yeah.
That's like then just put her in a Hall of Fame already. Then I get how awesome she is, but that's really tough to do.
Well, the total's 168.5. The championship game was 102.85.
Yeah,
that they lost. But I like Iowa because this is not the same LSU team, and I think the revenge is enormous here in the fact that the rivalry and talking trash afterwards, which so much was made about that, but it's not bragging if you can back it up.
Parlay South Carolina and UConn to win it all.
Yeah, I laid $1.50 with South Carolina. I can't see. I mean, you can play out of it though too. Yeah. I mean, they're laying 11.5 Friday for the right to go to the title game.
Wild.
I mean, the power rating here. Come on.
I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. Is there a chance we just get all chalk this year in hoops? Meaning, UConn men, South Carolina women, Denver and Boston playing in the NBA Finals.
That's a big favorite. Yes. Looks like it's going to happen.
Yep. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Michael Lombardi is going to join the show up next. He seems pretty set on 5 or more quarterbacks going in the first round. So does that mean Penix? Does it mean Knicks? Does it mean both? We'll ask him next here on VSiN.
For a limited time, offering 2 weeks of our exclusive betting splits for free. Just sign up at VSiN.com/splits. The VSiN betting splits page is updated with DraftKings odds every 5 minutes. Find out where the public's betting based on the number of tickets and where the money doesn't match the public opinion. If you use this past weekend, you cashed a ton of tickets because the public did very well. Limited time offer. Take advantage now. VSiN.com/splits. Free 2-week access. VSiN.com/splits.
All right, very good. Michael Lombardi joins the program now. You can get his show called Lombardi Line Monday through Friday at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Also, GM Shuffle is the name of the podcast, and he is on the Progressive guest line. Michael, good morning. Thanks for the time as always. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Good morning. Happy April Fool's Day.
Yep.
Don't read anything on Twitter if you want to believe it, so stay away. It's all good.
How much should we be reading right now about the NFL draft and believing at this point, especially on a day like today? But DraftKings put up a bunch of props over the weekend for the NFL draft. One of them is number of quarterbacks to be selected in the first round. They put 4.5. The juice on the over 4.5 is minus 250. Oh man, does that make sense to you? Are you like there right now with getting 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the first round?
Well, basically what that prop is saying is Bo Nix or Michael Penix going to be a first rounder. That's what the prop is simply saying, because that would mean it gets to 5 and one of those guys would go. And based on the data that I've listened to, I think Bo Nix and Penix are valued in the first round. Are they valued in the top 5? I don't think so. Top 10, perhaps. I know that the Broncos spent a lot of time with Bo Nix. I know they spent a lot of time with all the quarterbacks. So I think when you look at the prop, you just can't look at the number. You have to put the names in. And so you really should be, if you want to bet the over, which they're juicing it very heavily to you would think they're going to move it to 5 fairly soon here. You're basically saying to yourself, you believe Penix or Nix will be picked in the first round. And that's where you have to do your best data collection. You've got to go and look at and study those guys, what you're reading about them, what you hear about them, because that's going to be the case. McCarthy, Daniels, May, and obviously Caleb Williams are surefire first rounders based on the data that's come in so far.
McCarthy's polarizing, especially if you're talking about could he go top 5. What do you see on tape, and what do you think of McCarthy as a pro prospect?
Well, I think McCarthy's got a lot of things you like. The intangibles, certainly. The winning, the third down tape is excellent. There's some inconsistencies in what he does. His leadership is elite in terms of the team rallies around him, which is an important commodity. And I think sometimes we get hindered into evaluating the offense where they don't ask him to do a lot. But when they did on third down, he was able to perform. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Look, ask yourself this question. Would you rather have Daniel Jones at 5 or J.J. McCarthy at 7, 8, or 9? Think about that. Mm-hmm. Would you rather have Kenny Pickett at 20 or would you rather have J.J. McCarthy? These guys are all first rounders, right? Would you rather have Josh Rosen or J.J. McCarthy? I think you have to kind of ask yourself in that vein. And when these teams pick a guy in the first round, they're saying there's things we love, there's things that are concerning, but they always are like those gold diggers in 1849. You know, they feel like they're going to be able to find that speckle of gold and turn it into something bigger than it is.
Yeah.
So, I do think he's going to go in the first round.
And I thought your comment yesterday on your show comparing, and you just said, look, I mean, Michael Penix was a better college football player than Will Levis. Now, Will Levis did not go first round, but he went right away in the second round. And also, like, to me, Penix translates as a better pro prospect than Will Levis as well. So why would a team not take a chance on somebody like him?
I think a lot of this is the medical, Mitch. I think the medical on what we don't know. Nobody knows. Everybody who does these mock drafts have no idea about the medical because no one shares the medical with the mock drafters. They share their evaluations. They share their perceptions. They don't share their intimate knowledge of their own team, but they share what they hear. But the one thing they can't share is the medical. And we don't know with Penix coming off of the 2 injuries that he's had, what your team doctor, and remember, every guy, now other than Caleb Williams, when they do the orthopedic in Indianapolis, they go to 7 tables. And so every table has a collection of doctors at those tables. And they compare notes. And I'm not saying they come up with a consensus, but they come up with an idea and a framework of the player's orthopedic grades. Now, they'll bring these guys back in for their 30 visits, which will allow them to gain more knowledge within it, which then changes the medical. This is usually the week where players are going back to Indianapolis for a recheck physical, and the doctors are there, and then the teams will start bringing players in to kind of do the specific testing on what they need. And that's really the only question about whether Penix goes in the first or not is what is the medical?
How do you see it playing out with the first 5 picks and number 3?
Yeah.
Are the Patriots really open for business, or are they trying to see if they can get a haul?
Well, I see, Pauly, you've got to really, when everybody says this, they're open for business, you have to go back and look at their roster. Jacoby Brissett signed a 1-year contract. Now, do you think the Patriots are going to find their heir apparent to their quarterbacking problems in the second round? Probably not. Do they think they're going to trade away from a quarterback and get someone else? I don't think so. So you can say you're open for business, which means you want your phone to ring. But all the actions that you have taken place over the course of the spring and winter in rebuilding your team indicate you're taking a quarterback. And why would you pass on one that you like to manipulate the draft board to think you're going to get one later? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I would think they're open if they get blown away with an offer, which they're trying to entice. But I doubt if they're going to trade away from the quarterback. They need one. I think the guy that really is the most interesting player in the draft, who shifts the balance of power in the draft the most, is May, because the 22 tape is good. He's the AACC Player of the Year in the conference. The 23 tape is rather inconsistent. So there's a lot of things that you have to kind of work your way through with May. Young player, 21 years old, going to get bigger, going to get stronger, does a lot of things, and it depends on where he goes.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest here on the Progressive Guest Line, Michael Lombardi. So if it goes Williams 1, Daniels 2, and then if the Patriots do take Drake May 3, what do you think happens at number 4? Does a team trade up to Arizona? And then the Chargers, to me, could be just a gigantic wild card too at number 5.
Yeah, and I think the Chargers are open for business. Like, everybody has them taking a wide receiver. I don't think Jim Harbaugh put it any more clearer than when he said the most important position is the offensive line. And I think he believes that. I don't think he's lying about that whatsoever. I think he truly believes that, as I do. And so the idea that, you have to take a receiver, look, Neighbors is great. Harris, they're all great. But if you can't block, how great are they? Mm-hmm. And so I think, to me, that's going to be the reality at 5. You could see the Jets trying to move up. Look, the Jets have pushed all their money to the middle of the table. They're Teddy KGB. I mean, they're trying to win this thing, and they're going to try to get another receiver. Now, I call them the ifers, guys, because they have a team that you could say they're going to take a receiver, but they have Mike Williams if he's healthy. You could say they're going to take a left tackle, but they signed Tyron Smith if he's healthy. See, there's so many ifs involved with the Jets that they look on paper like they could be a good team if they stay healthy, which is a hard thing to do when you're signing players over 30 and you're counting on them to be great, starting with the quarterback coming off an Achilles. If
they stay put at number 10 and don't make a move, do you think that pick is going to be Brock Bowers?
Well, I think, to me, it could be. I think, to me, it could be, but it also could be an offensive lineman. Look, Morgan Moses, when Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith are your 2 tackles, are you really feeling secure about it? Are you? Smith has yet to play a full season. You've got to go back 5 years. Can you really count? And Dallas passed on it. Dallas could have easily given them the $6.5 million in base salary. Mm-hmm. They passed because they know the money invested. It looks good on the depth chart. It doesn't look good in terms of week 7 of the season in October, where he's on the injury list as questionable with back problems.
1 minute. What do you think of the kickoff rule?
I hate it. I mean, it takes away strategy. Anytime you take away strategy from the game, you don't like it. And I think the onside kick, especially the way these offenses are, where you want to try to gain an extra possession, where you want to put something into the game plan that could give you an advantage, they've ruled it out.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Great talking to you today, Michael. Thanks so much for the time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right.
Be good.
Appreciate you.
He was on the Progressive Guest Line.
Right.
There's going to be a new podcast today called GM Shuffle, and the Lombardi Line. You can get it every day, Monday through Friday, at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock out here on the West Coast.
I would think, like you said, you would rule out wide receiver with the Chargers based on what Harbaugh said.
Yeah, I do trust him at that, by the way.
It was a lengthy answer and a great answer to the importance of offensive line that he gave.
Don't forget, Greg Roman likes to run the football.
Yeah.
Offensive line, kind of key in that as well. Want to protect their $250 million investment at quarterback. That's if they don't trade out. If they stay at number 5. There's a juicy number on Joe Alt to go there. You can find various markets to actually bet that. But again, we have 4 weeks left to go in the draft here, so follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We have a busy segment coming up next. A lot of recapping to do with our bets from over the weekend and tournament bets, plus what we're adding today in pocket plays next year on Follow the Money.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're on.
The gift that keeps on giving. Peterborough United over in League One again. 3-1 final. We're back at it today. So that won Friday. Orlando Magic lost at home to the Clippers. Clippers finally played defense. Got the win. NC State +7. Easy winner against Marquette. Loser with Creighton Friday night. You saw that was Tennessee in a nutshell. They couldn't make a shot against Texas. Then they were great against Creighton. Had a 16-point lead. And then Connect's awesome, and he doesn't get any help, though.
I know.
Yesterday. Under 1.5 1 seeds to make the Final Four as a loser. West Coast Conference over 2.5 wins, a loser. We got no help from St. Mary's there. So, rough weekend. To all the new, plenty of it. Right back at it today, baby. All the lower leagues are in action. And we start with Peterborough United again, over 2.5 against Leyton Orient. That's League One. Here come the Jets. Aaron Rodgers MVP, 28-1. Jets Super Bowl, 25-1. You can find 30-1. Well, most places have 23-25. I took 30 and 23 on the Dallas Mavericks to win the title. This is impressive what they're doing. And the Rockets had won 11 in a row. And Dallas buried them on the road in that game. And I think, listen, if they get me Saturday. I think these prices are crazy. NC State catching 9 and Alabama plus 12.
Oh, both dogs, okay.
I think that's too high. But Purdue and UConn have covered every step of the way so far. And Iowa tonight, 1.5 against LSU. I do money line with that as well. And I'd lean Phoenix Suns tonight in the NBA. Bad NBA card, one good game. Suns in New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. Suns laying 1 in that game. Huge game for the Suns. I'll trust the Suns. There you go. A lot of stuff there.
All right, grading the plays from over the weekend. Purdue to make the Elite Eight, minus 130. That was a winner. I did lose Gonzaga plus 5.5. That was about a quarter unit play trying to win both of those. And that was no good. Good game for a while, then Purdue pulled away. Duke plus 4.5 against Houston. Outright winner. Really liked him in that game. Talking about that a lot on Friday, the morning of this show. The Shed injury.
So unfortunate.
Just the last thing that they can have happen. The one guy that could not go down.
They were not winning that game.
Oh, Duke's not going to win that game.
Duke scored 50 points.
Yeah, Duke's not winning that game if Shed doesn't get hurt.
God.
The Creighton game against Tennessee, that's tight. And then Tennessee went on a huge run in the second half, and then Creighton came back to make it somewhat of a game. That run killed me. I think Creighton, now Tennessee gave them a game yesterday. I think Creighton could have given them at kind of the same game, or maybe even defeated Purdue. I was ultra high on that team, 7-1, did not get there. Clemson plus 3.5 against Alabama. Was a loser. Got an email from Ryan. He says, Clemson was awesome, huh? 8 of 26 from 3, 8 of 16 from the free throw line. Yeah, they were also, if you watched the game, watch the games. The coach was phenomenal the entire time. The stuff that they were running was absolutely superb on offense. That's what I'm talking about. They were phenomenal in the game. And Alabama just showed up with their A-plus game, and there's nothing you can do when the threes are raining down like that. Big 12 tournament wins under 13.5. Winner. Not even close. Would they get 7-8 in the Big 12? And Big East tournament wins over 7.5. That got there thanks to UConn because Creighton and Marquette both lost over the weekend. They're now at 8, and this team is a 12-point favorite in the Final Four. Broncos. Adding today, women's college hoops. UConn minus 3.5 against USC. I also bet them money line as well. I think they win. I think they cover the game. I want USC to win.
Yes, so do I.
I don't think they will. I think UConn's in good form right now.
We hit the road. DraftKings Sportsbook TPC Scottsdale this Friday for the Final Four. Special Saturday edition. Follow the money live starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Great guests. Excited. More so the food. The options. Special edition. Follow the money. Live from the DraftKings Sportsbook TPC Sutherland. So, if UConn wins the whole thing, it doesn't mean that the Big East was the best conference and they should have got like 6 teams. I mean,
no.
People losing their minds with some of this stuff. It's like, it's one game. So, while I thought, yes, St. John certainly was a top 30 team and how well they played UConn, it's also, you're going to take St. John's and UConn, Seton Hall and all these teams, and it's not how it works. And it's also, you're not a lousy conference if you have issues like the Big 12 did at times and some bad luck. You do this for 4 or 5 months. It doesn't come down to one game. But the other thing is, it was a fluke year with the bid thieves. You had 5 bid thieves. So
one of them's in the Final Four.
Yeah, right. And that took away a lot of spots and deserving teams that should have been in there. Certainly, we all agree Virginia had no business being in. But
selfishly speaking, I wanted St. John's in because I love Pitino, and that's the one team, evidently, that can match up well with UConn, despite 3 losses on the year. They played them tough every single time.
They certainly passed the eye test, and they drubbed Seton Hall in the quarters.
I will also add this. If UConn doesn't win the whole thing, doesn't mean they weren't the best team.
Yeah, that too.
They're the best team, period.
Right. It's a fluke.
But the
Never
best
know.
team doesn't always win the national title. Again,
I'd say rarely. Rarely in this
probably
sport.
the case. 2021 Gonzaga, undefeated. Played murderer's row in the non-conference, blew out everybody. Baylor, bad matchup in that game, lost. 2015 Kentucky, undefeated. They got one of the worst coaches in college basketball history. Did not know what to do against Wisconsin. Couldn't even make the national title game. 1999 Duke. Was that team any good? Could not win. 9-point favorite in the title game, lost outright to UConn. I mean, it happens a lot where the best team just they don't win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. You got to be, a lot of luck is involved too. That's NC State. That's Duke. Remember, I remember I was in high school and I was going around betting everyone, give me Duke against the field. You guys can have the field. That was the year Leitner beat Kentucky. I mean, they needed a miracle there.
Yeah.
They got it done, but
that was to repeat then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were awesome that year.
Well, the 91 UNLV team.
There, that's right.
The team that lost to Duke.
Horrible call on Greg Anthony.
There's no way, no how you can tell me just because Duke won the game, they were better. They weren't better than UNLV. UNLV was the best team in the country with a bullet, and they couldn't repeat. You're right. Some bad calls went against them. They still talk about that Greg Anthony foul in the city.
Greg Anthony told us he's asked about it every day.
Every day?
The loss. I said, did you ever get over it? How long did it take you to get over it? He goes, I'm asked about it every day, so I can't.
You can't get over it. It's like if South Carolina doesn't win in the women's tournament, it doesn't mean they're clearly the best team. And they are, look at this, I mean, in the Final Four, they're laying 12. NC State's awesome. Oh, if they don't win, well, yeah, upsets happen. It's the beauty of this stuff. If Purdue wins, by the way, like if you want to bet like the most outstanding player market, nobody on the team is going to win the award other than Edey.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the only guy that can win on the team. I mean, based on what he's doing right now, he's putting up numbers here that haven't been done in decades, pretty much, by any individual player. If UConn wins the whole thing, I mean, you gravitate towards Klingen, but there are other guys on the team who could have. Somebody else, Newton might have 25 against Alabama and then 19 in the national title game, and he might steal it. Spencer, awesome. You know, they have like probably 4 or 5 guys that could win that award. It's tricky to find out which guy you want to bet on UConn. If Alabama shocks UConn, who do you look at? Do you look at Spears? Do you look at the kid who dominated North Carolina in the second half? Yeah. They probably have 2, 3, 4 guys who could win the award. If NC State wins the whole thing, it's only one guy, right? It has to be Burns.
Right. Interesting market, yeah. But I could see there's several candidates for UConn, no doubt.
Too many.
Did you see Larry David at the game? How great was this? I'm surprised you missed it.
Yeah.
So he's sitting in the front row, and he's got his feet all the way up.
Oh, yeah, why wouldn't he?
Yeah, right? They put him on the Jumbotron. He's bothered. He doesn't like that. And apparently he was yelling at Hurley, the game's over, stop coaching. What are you doing? It's a 30-point game. It's enough already. There we go. He was hanging out, and then he was bothered. It's this guy's. I'd love to meet this guy and interview him. He was bothered that people were coming up and asking him for autographs and selfies. I mean, he is the genuine article. This guy. He is the stories that he has, and I used to, he was George Costanza. All that stuff on Seinfeld, he did.
Yeah.
He showed up. I quit. He quit his job, came back like nothing happened. No one said a word. He'd walk around New York City. If I ever got laid off, where would I live if I was homeless? I mean.
Yeah. He's the number one guy probably ever that will say anything to anybody at any time.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the situation. And his life is what the show is.
Yep. I love it. He gets a palatial estate in the Pacific Palisades, and oh boy, what a view! He's like, man, after a day, it gets old.
You get used to it.
It's like what it is.
And by the way, we said this earlier about UConn. Like, I get it. Like, the best compliment that we can give the team right now is that they're so good, they're boring. It's not even fun to watch them play their games.
Imagine if they go not only 12-0, but cover every game.
Every game.
And now what we're getting into with the point spreads.
Stay tuned. We have shows all day long here on VSiN, including a numbers game next. Catch it at vsin.com.